Welcome to the Record Player, everybody. Good to be here. I am thrilled today to have with me one of the founders of one of the best and most successful Canadian bands ever, the Grapes of Wrath. In the 90s, he was also a member of the band Ginger, and he's released 3 solo records as well as a solo artist. It's a pleasure to have with us Mr. Tom Hooper. How you doing, Tom?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
For a guy who spent a lifetime performing and touring, other than the obvious reasons of the past year, how's the last year been for you?
Well, it's funny. I think I live here on this island called Salt Spring, and it's a real tourist place. So last summer I played at this outdoor restaurant on the wharf, and I think I played like 150 nights in a row. So I probably played more gigs than I've ever played last year, and so it was actually quite good. I was one of the only musicians I know in Canada who actually had a steady gig, so that was good. But then they locked it down even more, and yeah, and of course the Grapes. We had a bunch of tours booked. One a really good one in Ontario, which was postponed till last October. Then that got postponed again till this October coming up, but I don't think that's going to happen either. So that's a real drag because I haven't played with the Grapes. It'll be almost 2 years soon, yeah. Which
2019, the last time you guys were out.
Yeah.
I remember having you guys booked for coming through Ontario, and I was very excited about it. And then I was pissed off when it got canceled. You're still out in BC?
Yeah, I'm on Salt Spring Island. Yeah.
Awesome. Grapes of Wrath started out in Kelowna, correct? Where you guys grew up.
Yeah.
Tell me about how the band started, just sort of the beginning process of the group and you guys being friends first and then started.
Yeah. Well, my brother met our guitarist Kevin when they were in grade 8. And I was my brother's little brother. And basically we are all three of us were into the same music, and the Beatles, mainly the Beatles, but the Stones, stuff like that. And I was just talking about the story the other day about when we went to see the movie Help at the Paramount Theater in Kelowna, and yeah, I think I was like 9 or 10, and they were like 12, and that was the first time we'd all gone to see something together like that. Yeah, so we started jamming in the basement, and Kevin played guitar, and I played guitar too, and my brother played drums, but Kevin was a better guitar player than me, so I got a bass, and so of course I was thrilled to be able to play with my older brother and his friend, and it kind of went from there. We played our first concert. We were called Feedback because we had to come up with a name, and we played at my grade 7 dance. So that was like 1979, I think it was. So yeah, so we've been playing forever. Then we kind of got into punk rock and stuff like that, and we kind of went our own directions, but we were all still friends. We used to make Super 8 movies and stuff around Kelowna and do different activities like that. And yeah, then it was 1983. Me and Chris and Kevin got back together again and thought we'd, start jamming and stuff like that. And we started, playing originals, and then we decided to make an EP. And so we, through our work and garage sales, we raised enough money to go to Vancouver and record an EP, which was heard by Terry McBride, who's just starting Network Records. And he signed us right away for our first record. So that's kind of basically how it started. Yeah. To make a short story longer.
I grew up as a teenager working in a record store, working at Sam the Record Man in Ontario. And I'll tell you, the Grapes of Wrath stuff, like Treehouse, was never off the turntable.
Awesome.
When Now and Again came out, that was same type of thing. I would back to front like 3 times a day in that store. You guys started and you became successful around a time in Canada where it was kind of a special time musically, with like Sky Diggers, Northern Pikes, 5440, yourselves. What was the industry like back then compared to what it is today?
Well, that's a tough question, because
It's a different.
I'm older, so I'm kind of not in the same loop as some people say. Music isn't the same and nothing's as good anymore, but that's because you're older. You're not really tuned in. There's always good music and good little scenes here and there, but yeah, but that was a magical time back then. I think that there was a lot of acceptance towards Canadian music too. Finally, Canadians started to love their own bands, and also a lot of the Canadian bands were, becoming a little bit different than the standard arena rock bands that we used to always seem to be that Canadian kind of sound. So there's lots of different kind of bands, and of course the indie scene, which was, in Canada, Network was our record label, was one of the earlier ones, but basically that kind of opened the doors for different bands, new bands, to do it their own way. and make their own tours, you know, and do things like that. Did I answer the question? I
Yeah,
got sidetracked.
it's okay. Um, Grapes of Wrath. My earliest memories of you guys were obviously playing records in the store constantly, but seeing you guys on Much Music and especially Much West, which was hosted by Terry David Mulligan at the time.
Mhm.
It seemed like you guys were on there every episode of Much West.
Yeah.
How did the music video process and Much Music help you guys as a band exposure wise?
Well, it really did, you know. Yeah, Terry David Mulligan was great, you know, for us. But yeah, you know, it's funny at the time we used to kind of like dread doing videos, you know, and we like I said before, we liked doing Super 8 films and all that kind of stuff, but we kind of like didn't really at the time it was all it seemed like a chore, and it's like, oh, we don't, you know, we got into this for the music, you know, not about doing videos, not realizing, of course, or we did realize, I suppose, to a certain extent, but you know, that was huge for us. You know, there was that golden era when videos were very important to people. I remember I was just talking about this the other day, you know, Friday nights and Saturday nights would be, you know, when I used to live in this party house in Vancouver, we all sit around drinking beer, watching Much Music every Friday night, and then we go to the bar afterwards, whatever. But yeah, obviously people don't watch videos as much anymore. But yeah, that was huge for the Grapes for sure.
Um, you guys toured and worked with so many other great musicians around that time, and as time went on, Sarah McLachlan, who opened for you guys, my understanding,
Mhm.
Sam Roberts, Lava Hay. I actually saw Lava Hay before I saw Grapes of Wrath live.
Okay. Yeah.
Saw them live first. Did you enjoy collaborating with other artists? Was that something that the record company kind of wanted you to do, or were you guys into that, doing that on your own?
We were kind of in our own kind of world for the most part. You know, I think coming from Kelowna too, you know, we were never, you know, we relocated to Vancouver, and we became part of the scene. But because we kind of grew in Kelowna, we had our little thing. It was, you know, us against the world kind of thing. And, but yeah, I don't know. We didn't have a lot of opportunities with a lot of collaborations at the time, or maybe we just didn't. I know the record company, when we signed to Capitol, they were, you know, asking us if we were interested in writing with some of these. I won't mention the names, but these big writers that write for big rock stars, and we weren't interested in that at all, you know, and so we didn't. But yeah, we didn't do a lot of collaboration other than you know, with our producers and stuff like that. You know?
Why was there a reason why you didn't want to get involved in that?
Well, we were just kind of doing it all on our own, you know. Like I said, yeah, we just, it was hard enough writing an album's worth of material, you know, let alone and like, yeah, we really believed in ourselves, so we didn't really want any outside interference in that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And yeah.
You and Suzanne from Lava Hay got married. What's it like being married to a musician? Like, is that are you bouncing ideas off each other? Is it, you know, is it competitive at all, or?
Oh, not competitive. It's more like helpful. You know, she would help me with this certain ideas or some lyric ideas and songs, and I would help her, you know, vice versa.
Mhm.
She was better at in my you know, a really good lyricist. She's a huge Bob Dylan fan, and so I'll be very critical of my you know, in a good way, but I, you know, critical of the lyrics, you know, and so that's good to have someone like that. And so yeah, it wasn't competitive at all. It was more like helping each other out kind of thing.
You guys had a chance to work with some great producers over the years on some
Mhm.
of your records. Greg Reilly, Anton Fear,
Mhm.
John Leckie, who had actually engineered music for Paul McCartney, John Lennon, Pink Floyd before he
Oh
got to
yeah.
you guys. Have you, Daryl Newdorf, who wrote "I Go Blind"
Mhm.
for 5440? You got to work with Tom Cochran on the first couple of records,
Yeah.
and of course, Tom Cochran is Tom Cochran. How did that come about?
Well, we'd gotten signed to, well, we were kind of in the process of getting signed to Capitol, and they weren't quite ready for us. So what happened was Network, our record company, I think they basically Capitol loaned them the money to make the record. So we still had, you know, own the rights to the record. We weren't signed yet, but they were, you know, had been around in the picture, following us for a while. And they asked us if we'd be just interested in getting, well, Tom Cochran to remix one of our early singles, Misunderstanding. And so they sent a copy of all of us the latest Tom Cochran record with that Boy Inside the Man,
Yeah.
Boy Inside the Man song. So we thought, hey, you know, it's more along our lines. It's acoustic based and all that kind of stuff. And sure. So he did that, and we liked what he did on the Misunderstanding single. So then we wanted him to produce our Treehouse record, and it was a great experience. So Tom wasn't it was our first time with I say a rock star kind of person. We just had like people like Greg Reilly or these mixer type people, as opposed to someone like Tom Cochran. And he was great. He was like almost like a baseball coach, where he wasn't really the songs in that record were pretty much the same as we had wrote them and jammed them out, but he brought just a professional quality of the recording process, and also some great players as well, like Ken Greer on the added the pedal steel fantastically on like Peace of Mind, for instance. But yeah, we just had lots of fun hanging out with Tom too. He got a kick out of hanging out with us. It was a different scene that he was used to. I remember our first night, he took us out to Earl's on Top, and he's got all his dressed up with his Charlton Heston scarf on and stuff like that. And we thought it was so exciting because he was paying for everything too. So then we go back to my apartment. It was this little 1-bedroom apartment I shared with a friend, and it was just like beer cans everywhere, and we're smoking pot. And he's like, "What are you guys are hippies smoking pot for?" But it was fun doing that record, yeah, for sure. And it was our first. We had lots of success from that record, and it's a lot of people's favorite record as well.
Yeah, my favorite is Now and Again, but
Yeah.
I always go back to Treehouse because that was probably the first one I heard. September Bowl of Green was fantastic as well. After you guys split up, after the Grapes split up, the majority of you, really everybody but Kevin, I believe, went on to form Ginger. Ginger had some success in Canada. Was it specifically trying to be different than Grapes, or was that like a thought process at all, or was it we're just going to go in and do the same thing and write and record?
Yeah, it was just all about, I don't think that even with the Grapes, we never, had a plan on any record to go, we're going to sound like this, sound like that. It was just, it's an evolution kind of thing. And that's what Ginger was. I was listening to a lot of, well, the first Ginger record, Far Out, is definitely more Grapesy sounding than the second one. But I just think it's like a personal, for me, it's the main songwriter, just an evolution, music that's kind of whatever you're listening to at the time. You hope you're not going to sound exactly the same after 6 years, but it's never a conscious thing, for any, reason like that, other than just to write something that's good.
I laugh and think to myself that you're one of the few performers I think who have worked as a solo artist, worked as a duo, worked as a trio, worked as a foursome. You did in 2013. You and Kevin got back together to do, and Chris, sorry, got back together to do High Road, which was a fantastic record. It actually reminded me a lot of the earlier stuff.
Yeah.
What was it like for the three of you to be in the studio again for the first time in like 20 years nearly?
It was just awesome, and I just can't, I remember at the time just telling myself, I can't believe we had talked about doing it for like 5 years, putting it off, this and that. And then this record company in Toronto, Aporia, basically offered to pay for it, and you guys can do whatever you want. So like, yeah, okay. And I had a regular gig, playing places in Victoria. And so I had to put that aside for a while. And basically it was like 3 weeks at our friend Daryl Newdorf's farm in Orangeville. And Daryl, was talking about our old days in Kelowna. He was, there's like 6 of us in Kelowna back in the, his dad was my teacher, actually, my geography teacher, but we've known Daryl for the same line, since we were like, I was like 10 years old. And Daryl always had, like, I remember he used to buy those synthesizers kits from Radio Shack and make all these synthesizers, and just really into cool music. So he was one of like the 6 of us in Kelowna who were into like punk rock and stuff like that. So this little group of us who listened to cool records. So and then as we know, Daryl did a bunch of successful production over the years. So we wanted to get Daryl to produce it, or well, it was a co-production basically, but because we felt comfortable with Daryl, and Daryl knows us all, knows us well. So it was just a great process. It was like a reunion or something, and then every night we'd record, or day we'd record, then at night we'd be in his barn and he has his turntable, and we all going through playing records, cranking them through the PA, and oh, I forgot about this one, and it was just so much fun. And he did a fantastic job too.
Yeah, it was a great record. The production wise, you guys also produced your own the album before that with you, just you and Kevin.
Yeah.
You guys produced that on your own. Do you prefer the production of your, like, is there more control when you're doing it yourself, or do you like having that other person to kind of?
I think that let me see. I mean, there are certain times, if you want to go back to production and certain records, like Now and Again, that was probably the most produced record. What I mean produced is not the sounds, but the actual arrangements, and that record was, Anton was huge, in that, and it was a really hard process, but it was a great result though. So I don't know. I think that, we like to do it ourselves. But we also like to have other opinions, of course, and so yeah, it depends on the songs and also the people you work with. Like, but a lot of times, like in Daryl's case, when he, like I said, the songs pretty much the same. It was just Daryl was good at capturing us playing live off the floor, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I guess the older you get to, you think that maybe you kind of a lot, and sometimes especially us being older probably than people might be producing us now. But having said that, I would never say no to having a producer with really good ideas, coming in and going, do this, you guys got to change, do that, or something like that. It's like, because I think you're never too old to learn, right?
Yeah.
Little kids, that.
You guys have toured since you got back together with that album. You pretty much haven't really broken up. You haven't recorded or anything since that last record that I'm aware of. Since you've been off in this past year, you say you've kept busy performing. Is there any plans on another Grapes record, or is it just you guys are gonna just dying to get back on the road once things, if ever get back to normal?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know. Well, yeah. Yeah, I think that we would like to, like, just one step at a time. Any labels out there who want to front us the money, we'll do that too. We always feel kind of uncomfortable doing those, those campaigns, and it's like, especially if you only make $40 or something like that. So you put yourself out there. But yeah, we'd love to do that. I think that new music's always good, but we also really want to, just get out there and play it too. So whatever comes first.
I every time I interview somebody, I like to ask them about comparisons, maybe things. There's never been anyone that I really think you guys sounded like before you. There's a band from Athens, Georgia called Family of the Year. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Oh, I've never heard of them. Are they a more recent band, or?
They're probably in the last 7-8 years, I would say.
Oh, okay. Have you heard Real Estate before?
Yeah, I've heard of them. I think I've heard.
They sound kind of like the early Grapes too. But anyway, I want to hear this band.
The Family of the Year is a band. They're from Athens, same place and all that. And they have a song called Hero. And the very first time I heard that song, the first thing that went through my mind was these guys must have been Grapes fans.
Awesome.
Because it's really, the harmonies, the acoustic, everything sounded just like it. And I've always said that. And every time I say that to somebody, they're like, man, that does sound a lot like Grapes Around.
Wow.
Who are you listening to now? Like, is there new bands that you've listened to that you've kind of become a fan of, or?
Well, it's funny. I mean, I think when I call a band a new band now, they could be like, the record could be 5 or 10 years old.
I consider bands like Metric and Mother still new, and they've been around 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, this band Real Estate, which my kids are in their 20s, but they've introduced this band to me. It's been a few years now, but man, they sound exactly like the early Grapes. That's not why I like it. It's like, it's just cool that young people are listening to cool. They're not all listening to that kind of. Anyway, now I sound like a grumpy old man. Yeah, it's funny. Last night I was listening this. It wasn't new at all. Of course, it was. I was trying to find live footage of Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon era tour, and I was going through YouTube. It's like, why there's no footage hardly of them live playing that. But then I found one. It was really, really cool. But yeah, I'm that in between period of the early Sid Barrett stuff to the Dark Side of the Moon stuff. I've been doing a lot of gardening outside, and that's like the perfect music for gardening. But every time anyone asks me what I'm listening to, it's like I always go, I'm listening to something every day. But I was listening to the girl from, what's her name, Astrid. What's that? She has a girl from Ipanema, the Brazilian.
I know who you mean. I just
Yeah. That's my morning coffee meet. I know, and of course the Beatles has made a big comeback lately. Again, I bought some vinyl. Again, rebuying, my Beatles vinyl.
Well, in our group and our viewers, we talk about vinyl obviously a lot, and that's all I've been doing for the past year is just buying vinyl. And I find myself buying stuff that I used to own, but somehow lost or got rid of, and now I'm buying it again.
Yeah, well, I think I've done it with the Beatles like three times, and it's crazy, but yeah, just got to
Um,
get that really good turntable now, which costs $1,000.
I can't wait till you guys get back on the road. Seeing you guys live, like I mean, I've seen you guys live a few times, and it is an experience. What I love about you guys is that I love seeing you in a more intimate setting than in like a stadium type
Hmm.
setting, because you have that connection with the audience, and I can't wait to get that again. So, thank you
Thanks.
so much for being with us. It was great to talk to you and kind of go back in time a little bit. We hope to talk to you again down the road.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Tom.
Have a good day.